I'm Dr. Paul Wang, Editor-in-Chief of Circulation, Arrhythmia, and Electrophysiology, here with Dr. Frank Bogun, Professor at University of Michigan, to talk about his interesting paper, Postinfarction, Myocardial Calcifications on Cardiac Computed Tomography, Implications for Mapping and Ablation, Non-Tolerated Ventricular Tachycardia. It's a pleasure to have you here today, Frank.
Likewise, a pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
Great. I wonder if you could start telling us a little bit, very briefly, about the purpose of your study.
Yeah, we wanted to assess the prevalence of myocardial calcifications in a series of patients with prior myocardial infarction who were referred to a VT ablation procedure, and compare that to a control group of patients without VT who were composed largely of a patient population with prior coronary artery bypass grafting. Furthermore, we wanted to assess the impact of myocardial calcifications on mapping and ablation of VT.
Great. I wonder if you could summarize some of the key findings of your important paper.
Sure. In a series of 56 consecutive post-infarct patients, we found that 39 or 70% of the patients had myocardial calcifications, whereas only 6 or 11% of the patients in the control group without VT had myocardial calcifications. Among the patients with calcifications, we found that roughly a third of the VTs for which we could identify target sites, the VTs were in close proximity to these calcifications. We quantified also the amount of calcification that distinguishes the calcification-associated VTs from VTs that were not calcification associated, and a cutoff value of 0.54 cubic centimeters distinguished those two VT categories from each other. Finally, we looked at the pattern of calcification and found that a non-confluent calcification pattern was associated with VT target sites independent on the calcium volume.
Well, that's fantastic. Those are really important findings. Could you share with the audience how you think this will affect their regular practice? What ways can they use your information to make VT mapping and ablation better?
Yes, sure. So pre-procedural imaging can be beneficial to better identify the arrhythmogenic substrate of post-infarct VT upfront before the procedure. Having this information available allows the practicing electrophysiologist to do a more focused mapping procedure and concentrate on the region of interest that needs to be assessed during the ablation procedure. Surely not all the VTs of post-infarction VTs are related to calcifications, but a sizable number of them is, so this needs to be checked out. In the past, we published on the topography of post-infarct VTs and identified that the wall thickness is important also to identify VT target sites. A lot of the publication about the arrhythmogenic substrate of post-infarct VTs from MRIs, but a lot of information can be also obtained by computed tomography, and that's highlighted in this paper that we published.
Great. Well, thank you, Frank. This has been a pleasure. So thank you for the audience joining us today with Dr. Frank Bogun, Professor at University of Michigan, to talk about myocardial calcifications and mapping ventricular tachycardia. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.